In the headlines, Presidency apologizes for errors on list of Tinubu's appointees. Dangote refinery slashes ex-depot petrol price. NERC fines 8 discos 628 million naira for flouting estimated billing rules. On the foreign scene, death toll in Dominican nightclub disaster rises to 218. Hello and welcome to Trust News Updates. My name is Idris Bature. Now, the presidency has tendered an apology for the errors on the list of appointments made by President Bola Tinubu since assuming office on May 29, 2023. Special advisor to the president on media and public communication, Sunday Dare, on Thursday made the apology on behalf of the presidency. Dare, in a post on his official X account, countered the allegation made by an All Progressives Congress APC lawmaker representing Borno South, Senator Alin Dube, in a recent interview on Arise Television, where he accused President Tinubu of violating the federal character principle in his appointment. Ndume in the interview said he decided to call Tinubu's attention to his lopsided appointment because, as a lawmaker, he has the right to criticize the president despite belonging to the same political party, APC. Dare thereafter released a list of counter Ndume's narrative about Tinubu's alleged lopsided appointment, showing the president's appointees from each geopolitical zone. The omission of major appointees, including the President's Chief of Staff, Femi Gbajabiamila, however, ignited further debate on social media, leading Dare to take to his X handle on Thursday to apologize for the errors on the list. Now, Dangote Petroleum Refinery and Petrochemicals has reviewed its ex-depot gantry loading cost of petrol to 867 naira per litre. It was gathered that the refinery informed its marketers and customers of the slash on Thursday. An official of the refinery confirmed the price reduction from 880 naira to 867 naira per litre. Checks into the petroleum price, Dr. NG, also confirmed that the private refinery reduced its gantry price by 13 naira on Thursday morning. Filling stations like MRS Oil and Gas, Abuja PLC, Heading, and others with special agreement with the Dangote refinery are expected to reduce their pump price to around 910 naira from around 925 naira to reflect the marginal reduction in the ex-depot price of the petrol of the premium commodity. The price reduction of the private refinery followed a meeting between representatives of the Dangote refinery and the Minister of Finance, Wale Edun, on Tuesday. Now, the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC, has fined 8 electricity distribution companies, DISCOs, 628 million naira for violating its capping order on estimated bills for unmetered customers. A statement by NERC on Thursday said the fine was in pursuant to Section 34, subsection 1D of the Electricity Act 2023, which Abuja, Eko, Enugu, Ikeja, Jos, Kaduna, Kano, and Yola discos failed to fully comply with the monthly energy caps issued by the Commission between July-September 2024. It said the non-compliant discos have been sanctioned to pay fines amounting to 628,031,583 naira and 94 kobo, which is equivalent to 5% of the naira value of the gross overbilling for the period under review. The Commission has also mandated the DISCOs to issue commensurate credit adjustment to all customers affected by the overbilling by 15th May 2025, the end of the April 2025 billing cycle. The Commission reaffirmed its commitment to regulatory compliance and consumer protection within the Nigerian electricity supply industry. Now, members of the Trade Union Congress TUC and the Nigerian Labour Congress NLC on Thursday morning picketed the Ministry of Steel Development Complex at Wuse 2 in Abuja, the nation's capital. The aggrieved unions demanded better welfare for themselves and their colleagues working in the ministry. They also opposed what they described as the unjust sack of workers and a ban on workers' right to practice unionism. The labor unions led by Eche Asuzu barricaded the main gate of the ministry's headquarters in the nation's capital and prevented staffers of the ministry from gaining access to their offices. Carrying placards with different inscriptions and singing solidarity songs, the protesting workers kicked against the federal government's alleged maltreatment of staffers at the ministry and demand better wages.
Our cooking stove, be ready to eat our rice. Waiting with the tell when I be saying, don't walk away on a sack without entitlement. Pay am the entitlement. Notice so.
Now, Senate President Godswill Akpabio has formally petitioned the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetekun, over what he described as a criminally defamatory and inciting allegations made by Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, who accused him of plotting her assassination. In the petition dated April 3 and copied to the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi's son, Akpabio described the claim as heinous lies intended to damage his reputation, incite public unrest, and endanger his life. The controversy stems from a public speech by Akpoti-Uduaghan on April 1 in Kogi State, where she alleged that the Akpabio had directed former Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello to assassinate her within Kogi State in order to make it appear that her constituents were behind the attack. Responding to the accusation, Akpabio stated in his petition that the allegation made without evidence was politically motivated and designed to manipulate public sentiment. The Senate President also stressed the impact of the allegation due to its widespread coverage on TV, radio, print, and social media. He concluded the petition by stating the need to hold public officials accountable for statements capable of undermining national peace and democratic institutions. Now, Chief of Staff to the suspended Rivers State Governor Edison Ehi has filed a 2 billion naira defamation lawsuit against the immediate past head of service of the state, George Nweke, and the channel's television. Ehi is urging the court, presided over by Justice Stephen Jumbo, to award the sum of as damage in his favor. This follows a televised interview of Nweke on Channels Television on March 29, which he claims was baseless, malicious, and falsely published in most wicked manner. When the matter came up in court on Thursday, Ehi's counsel, Tajuru Edi San, sought a perpetual injunction restraining the defendant, whether by themselves, their agent, privies, servant, or any other representatives from further publishing or disseminating the said defamatory content. The plaintiff's counsel also prayed the court to compel the defendant to immediately retract the publication and issue a public apology to Ehi. The apology, he requested, should be broadcast on Channels Television, another national television network, and published in 2 widely read newspapers across Nigeria. Justice Jumbo, in ruling on the application, granted orders and directed all parties in the suit to refrain from making further public comment on the matter, pending the determination of the case, which has adjourned to June 4, 2025 for mention and further proceedings. Now, the federal government has predicted heavy rains and floods in 30 states and the Federal Capital Territory FCT Abuja. The high flood risk states are Abia, Adamawa, Akwa Ibom, Anambra, Bauchi, Bayelsa, Benue, Borno, Cross River, Delta, Ebonyi, Edo, Gombe, Imo, and Jigawa. Others are Kebbi, Kogi, Kwara, Lagos, Nasarawa, Niger, Ogun, Ondo, Oshun, Oyo, Rivers, Sokoto, Taraba, Yobe, Zamfara, and the Federal Capital Territory. The Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, Joseph Utsef, on Thursday said coastal and riverine flooding will be experienced in some parts of the south-south geopolitical zone of the country due to a rise in sea level. Osef stated this during the public presentation of the 2025 Annual Flood Outlook by the Nigerian Hydrological Services Agency (NIHSA) in Abuja. The 2025 Annual Flood Outlook (AFO) was segmented into 3 parts to address the pressing challenges of flood disasters and provide information for mitigation, especially in the most vulnerable communities. Now, some residents of Abuja in the Federal Capital Territory FCT have been rendered homeless as a result of a rainstorm that destroyed properties worth millions. The rain, which lasted for hours on Wednesday night, destroyed houses in some parts of the FCT communities, leaving some people without shelter. Areas affected included Apo, Jabi, Karmo, among others, with reports saying more than 50 houses were destroyed in Chefui and Apo. Properties like churches, educational institutions, and residential buildings, including makeshift shops, were also destroyed in the affected areas. Although no lives have been reportedly lost, properties worth millions of naira were, however, damaged as the rainstorm, accompanied by strong winds, wreaked havoc in houses. A rainstorm has destroyed scores of houses in Shanga local government area of Kebbi State. Kebbi State Governor Nasir Idris sympathized with the people of Garin Kesun, Atuwo Ward in Shanga local government, and urged the affected households to consider the incident as act of God. This was contained in a statement issued by the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor Ahmed Idris. According to the statement, the governor, represented by the chairman of Shanga local government, Audu, recalled that the heavy rainfall which occurred on Tuesday night destroyed houses and property worth millions of naira. He assured the victims that the government will provide support, including building materials, and appealed for patience, promising that the state government will soon come to their aid. This is the news update on Trust TV. Coming up after the break. Police begin probe as unknown assailants stab pregnant woman to death. More news when we return. Stay with us. Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is the news update on Trust TV. Let's take a look at our top stories again. Presidency apologizes for errors on list of Tinubu's appointees. And Dangote refinery slashes ex-depot petrol price. Now moving on to more stories, the murder of a 5-month pregnant young woman at her home in the Farawa area of Kano State is attracting public outcry for justice. Rumusao Shaibu was murdered with a kitchen knife on Sunday evening, with the police assuring that investigation is in progress to arrest her killer. Trust TV's Abdulaziz Ibrahim reports.
The mother of the late 5-month pregnant Rumusao Shaibu grieves in shock as several questions about her daughter's murder remain unanswered. In Mariri, Samia Farawa area of Kano, residents were shocked on Sunday night to learn of the murder of Rumusao in her home. Her husband Ibrahim Muhammad offers further insight into the incident.
Abin da ya kasance na fito daga gida misalin karfe 2 na zo nan gidan mu Tarauni to sai muka yi waya da ita wajejen dida.
At about 2 p.m. I left the house to visit my parents' home in Tarauni. I spoke to her at about 2:45 because we regularly contact ourselves each day. Later, when I tried to reach her, I couldn't, so I decided to go back home, but unfortunately I found her dead in our parlor. I can't say how her assailants entered the house, and I'm sure they took her phones because I can't find them. Neighbors are wondering if the murder was as a result of a robbery, a targeted assassination, or rape. People around here confirmed they saw her after Asr prayer, which is usually by 4 o'clock. But we got the news of her death from around 7 or 6:30. Our neighborhood is usually busy, but we suspect phone thieves because her phones were missing. Since the unfortunate incident, visitors have continued to troop to her family's residence to offer condolences. Devastated, the father of Rumasao's husband, Muhammad Ibrahim, a retired fireman, says despite witnessing a number of deaths during his career, this particular incident hit him differently.
Wannan yarinya Ruma jika ce a wajena. Wata da ta haife ta.
Rumasao is the granddaughter of my elder sister, so we married her to my son 3 years ago. When I got to the house after hearing the news, I saw her in a pool of blood with the knife that was used to kill her just beside her body. It is very disturbing. We don't suspect it was an act of revenge because among all our children, she is very calm and not known to have an issue with anyone. According to the police public relations officer SP Haruna Kiyawa, investigations are in progress with a view to arrest the culprit. The deceased parents' residence in Hotoro, a rumor that the assailant contacted the family after carrying out the act was dispelled by Bala Muhammad, a close relative.
We
have never experienced this kind of incident before. It is really shocking. No one called her parents. Nothing like that happened. It was only when her husband discovered her body that he called us. Even if anything was taken, we can't actually say.
What did she do to them? A young woman who is known to live well with everyone. We pray that whoever did this is caught. We pray the Lord catches up with them.
As investigations continue, the family of Rumasao Shaibu continues to grieve, searching for answers and justice. Abdulaziz Ibrahim, Trust TV News, Kano.
Now, the Kebbi State Police Command says it has rescued the 400-level student of the Federal University Birnin Kebbi, Augustine Madubia, who was kidnapped on Tuesday by 5 armed men at his off-campus hostel in Kalgo area of the state. The police public relations officer, Nafiu Abubakar, in a statement said the abductors abandoned the kidnapped student and fled when they sighted a combined team of policemen and vigilantes that were mobilized to the Daikingari forest for a rescue mission. It will be recalled that the gunmen, while abducting the student, killed a herder and tried to rescue him and one other student who managed to escape from them at their Ungwarjiji residence in Kalgo. The statement said the student was rescued unhurt and currently responding to treatment at a medical facility, after which he will be returned with his family. The Deputy Governor of Kebbi State, Umar Abubakar Tafida, in the company of the Commissioner of Police, Bello M. Sani, handed the student to the Vice Chancellor of the University, Professor Muhammad Zayan Umar, at the University's Council Chambers. An unspecified number of passengers have lost their lives when a passenger boat capsized in River Niger in Lapai axis of Niger State. Details of the mishap were sketchy, but Trust TV gathered that the incident happened around 10 p.m. on Wednesday. Sources told our correspondent that the victims left Bugie village in Kogi State and en route Shokun village in Niger State with over 200 bags of paddy rice when the incident occurred. Following cloud accompanied by strong windstorm, the Director General, Niger State Emergency Management Agency, Abdullahi Baba Ara, confirmed the incident to our correspondent, but said the agency was yet to establish the exact number of people involved and the cause of the mishap. We will bring you details of this in our subsequent bulletins. Now, cold winter weather and geopolitical instability sent European gas prices soaring to a 2-year high in the first quarter of this year. That was the key takeaway from a new report on the European electricity market from energy data analyst Montel Analytics. The average TTF price, a key indicator of gas prices in Europe, reached 46.79 pounds in the first 3 months of this year, a 9% increase from the final quarter of 2024. The rise was sparked by a cold winter, which reduced storage levels, ongoing geopolitical tensions, and anxieties about a trade war with America after U.S. President Donald Trump promised a raft of import tariffs on European countries. The cold, calm weather led to several instances of brief Dunkelflirt periods in which demand is high while there is little to no wonder on solar generation. This resulted in periods of very high day-ahead price in several countries across Europe. We'll now take a short break. We'll be back after the break. Stay with us. And now away from Nigeria, the death toll after a roof collapsed at a crowded nightclub in the Dominican Republic has climbed to 218. The head of rescue operations said Thursday. Rescuers have worked frantically since the collapse in the early hours of Tuesday to dig out survivors from the rubble of the jet-set club in Santo Domingo, the Caribbean nation's worst disaster in decades. Among the dead were famed merengue singer Robbie Perez, who was performing on stage as the roof caved in, as well as two former Major League Baseball players and a local politician. Helicopter images showed a gaping hole in the roof of the structure in the nation's capital. Authorities ruled out the possibility of finding any more survivors late Wednesday. The government said it will open an inquiry into the disaster as soon as the rescue operations have been completed. And in sports, Super Eagles head coach Eric Chelle says the 2025 Unity Cup will provide him the opportunity to beef up his team with new players. The Super Eagles of Nigeria, Black Stars of Ghana, Reggae Boys of Jamaica, and Soca Warriors of Trinidad and Tobago will compete in the 2025 edition of the competition. Chelle kept faith with the majority of the regular stars for last month's 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers against Rwanda and Zimbabwe. The Malian declared that he will call up new players to strengthen the team. All the matches will be played at Brentford's Czech Community Stadium in London. And with that, we have come to the end of the news update. Do not forget to follow us across all our social media platforms and also watch us live on YouTube for more news, programs and documentaries. My name is Idris Bayabaturi, thanking you for being with us. Goodbye for now.